His campaigner was over there. That Jason guy thought he was over in the airlines.
Welcome you all. We're going to go ahead and get started right on time. Thank you all for being here tonight and taking time out of your schedule to join us. My name is Clay Gillum. I am the Executive Director of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce. The mission of the Henderson Chamber is to promote and advocate for business, enhance economic and community development, and serve as a catalyst for overall quality of life in Henderson County. So I think tonight falls straight into that category of community development and enhanced quality of life. Our Government Affairs Committee has made it their mission to watch what's happening in the city, county, and state and national politics when it comes to legislation that will affect our business community. At the end of the day, our business community is made up of people, and we're all affected by the folks that are serving in these governing roles and the decisions that they're making on our behalf. So tonight is about education. It's about getting accurate and holistic information out to voters in our community so that they can make the best possible choices when they cast their vote. We expect an environment of respect for all participants tonight, and on that note, I want to say that we're really grateful to all of the candidates who have chosen to attend tonight. We're grateful for you all making an effort to be well-informed voters as well. I also want to say a quick thank you to our board of directors for supporting events like this and helping to guide our organization towards success. I want to thank our Government Affairs Committee for their input on tonight's event and their ongoing work on behalf of our members. And I want to thank our chamber staff for always going the extra mile, both for our members, for our community, and for each other. Also want to thank Vince Twiddell from the Hendersonian for volunteering to moderate tonight. And two final thank yous, one to our friends at the library for hosting in this beautiful space and for always being good partners to the chamber. And finally to WSON for agreeing to live stream tonight so that everyone in our community who's interested has access to tonight's event, even if they can't attend in person. Before we move on and I hand it over to our chamber board chair to kick us off, I want to just start with a quick prayer. If you'll bow your heads and pray with me. God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather tonight and learn about the individuals seeking office to serve our community. We ask that you watch over us, guide our conversations, that they be filled with truth, grace, and respect for our fellow man. We thank you for the people currently serving in government roles and ask that you bless their hearts and minds with wisdom, discipline, and the peace necessary to lead in these turbulent times. We express our gratitude for another beautiful day in Henderson, Kentucky, and thank you for the love and joy present in each of our lives. In your name, amen. Amen. Now I will turn it over to the chair of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce Board, Mr. Eric Gardner.
Thank you, Clay, and good evening to all. Welcome. As Clay mentioned, I'm the chair of this year's Chamber of Commerce. We're glad you made time out of your evening to join us in person or remotely for the 2024 Candidates Forum. I'll go over the ground rules of tonight's event. First one, this is a professional candidates forum, not a debate. All participants and audience members are expected to speak and behave respectfully. If at any point this is not the case, they will be asked to leave. Above all, we aim to educate the citizens of Henderson County about the upcoming opportunities to exercise their right to vote. We look forward to a positive and informative forum for all. Vince of the Hendersonian solicited questions from the public. The Henderson Chamber requested that their membership send in questions. Full list was distilled down by the Henderson Chamber's Government Affairs Committee. Final list was provided to candidates by close of business Monday, approximately 48 hours before the forum. Due to the methods used to gather questions and the time limitations of the forum, we will not be taking questions from the audience. City Commission candidates were provided a list of 15 questions, only 5 of which will be asked. Appellate judge candidates were provided a list of 8 questions, only 3 of which will be asked. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to introduce themselves. During this time, the candidates are expressly forbidden from any mention of their opponent's record. The 1-minute intro is to give a brief bio of yourself and an overview of your platform and reasons for running for office. Each candidate will be given up to 2 minutes to answer each question asked, and will take turns answering, with every candidate answering every question. There will be no rebuttal or follow-up after the conclusion of that 2 minutes. Commissioners will sit in alphabetical order and rotate the line who responds first during each round of questions. Incumbent appellate judge will answer the first question first. Challenger will answer the second question first, and then back to the incumbent again for the final question. If a candidate reaches the 2-minute mark, a bell will ring, and we will ask those candidates to complete their answer and allow us to move on immediately for the sake of time. If you haven't had a chance to review the general election sample ballot, I wanted to at least recognize those that are running unopposed. First one, state representative, 11th representative district, J.T. Payne. Commonwealth Attorney, Judicial Circuit, Herb McKee, Jr. Circuit Clerk, Clyde Gregory Sutton. School candidates, Member Board of Education, 3rd Educational District, Thomas Alex. Member Board of Education, 4th Educational District, Mike Waller. And Member Board of Education, 5th Educational District, Wesley Smith. This time I'll introduce our moderator, Vince Tidwell. He earned a bachelor's degree in mass communication from the University of Evansville and a Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing from Murray State University. He has worked as a reporter at the Madisonville Messenger and Frankfurt State Journal, earning several awards from the Kentucky Press Association, and has taught journalism at Road Community College in Medford, Oregon, where he was the faculty advisor of the school's newspaper in the University of Indiana. Also taught University of Southern Indiana. You also taught University of Southern Indiana. Sorry about that. Yeah, not Indiana, University of Southern Indiana. With that, I will turn it over to Vince.
Okay, candidates for the 1st District, Division 2, appellate judge, Lisa Payne Jones. Come on up, please. And Jason Shea Fleming. Judge Jones has 20 plus years of experience in law, having served as district and circuit court judge, and currently as the Court of Appeals judge. She has a strong focus on civil, family, and criminal law, and has initiated various specialty courts, such as mental health and drug courts. Jason Shea Fleming has been a family court judge since 2007, and has experience in private practice and as an assistant county attorney. He is recognized for his ability to handle sensitive legal matters with fairness. So, some of you may not understand the Court of Appeals. We'll have just a basic overview of that. It primarily reviews cases from the district and circuit court, so if something in Henderson Circuit Court fills up, you can go to the appellate court. There are 14 judges in the state that kind of rotate and move, so 3 would come and sit and hear a case, and go to a different place to hear a case somewhere else. They focus on whether decisions were made fairly and according to the law. Topics may include family law, criminal law, civil rights, especially in sensitive cases like domestic violence and child custody. And they also may also face cases involving mental health, juvenile justice, and drug-related offenses. And given recent focus on these issues within the Kentucky legal system. Okay, so starting off, 1 minute, right, for each.
1 minute to ask the question, 2 minutes each to respond. You'll get a yellow square for 30 seconds left in the ballot.
We're gonna let them do their own election, right?
Yes.
Okay, we start with Judge Jones. You get 1 minute. 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you all so much. I'm Judge Lisa Payne Jones. I currently am your judge on the Kentucky Court of Appeals. I was appointed approximately 6 months ago after the other judge, Donna Dixon, retired. I've been a judge in Davis County for about 23 years now. Before that, I did time in private practice where I did medical malpractice defense work, family court work, probate, guardianship matters. After that, I was an assistant Commonwealth attorney where I prosecuted felony criminal cases, everything from robbery to child abuse to sexual cases to murder. I was appointed to the district court bench in 2001 and elected in 2002. As a district court judge, you handle probate, civil, small claims, juvenile. We didn't have family court in Davis County until 2017, so I did the work of a family court judge. Then in 2019, I became Davis County Circuit Court Judge, where I presided over felony criminal cases. So I presided over murder cases as well. Also civil matters, injunctions, and appeals from district court. I have well-rounded and diverse experience, but beyond that, if there's something that I can do to make my community better, I will do that. I presided over juvenile drug court, adult drug court, and I created the Davis County Mental Health Court with the help of a community collaboration. I think it's important for judges to be a part of their community, to know what's going on in their community, the concerns of their community, whether it's juvenile gun violence, whether it's mental health, whether it's substance use. I want to know what's going on, and I want to be part of that solution. And I believe judges who are active in their community know that. And now that I am on the Court of Appeals, my community is not just Davis County, it's 23 counties in Western Kentucky. And so I've made an effort to get out into every single one of those communities, to visit people, to talk to people, to speak with civic groups and organizations so that I can know them and their concerns and they can know me, because I think it's important that people know who represents them. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Judge Jason Fleming. I'm from Northern Christian County, a small town called Crofton, a small farming community. I want to first thank the Henderson Chamber and Vince for putting this on. This is a wonderful program, and I will tell you that Judge Jones and I have enjoyed going around to the different groups and educating them about the Court of Appeals. I have been a circuit judge now. This is completing my 18th year. I do family court in Christian County. Along with that, I have taught over 75 different programs to judges and attorneys, not only across the state, but across the country. I am the winner of the 2024 American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers Kentucky Judge of the Year. I am the winner of the 2023 University of Kentucky College of Law Distinguished Jurist of the Year. I am the 2023 Citizens Foster Care Review Board Outstanding Judge. I was the 2011 Outstanding Young Lawyer for the state of Kentucky by the Kentucky Bar Association, even though I was a judge. And I am the 2006 winner of the Public Advocate Award. I've been recognized for my ability to be fair and impartial and to make decisions based on the law, based on the facts that have been provided to me. I am married to my high school sweetheart. We have 2 children, Owen Brady, who is 18 and just graduated high school, and then Megan, who is a freshman this year. And I would appreciate your vote and your support on November 5th.
Hello? Okay. We had a little technical difficulties. All right, question number 1. This is going to go to Judge Jones first. What do you see as big issues, not specific cases, in the state that may make it to the Court of Appeals for review, and how will your background and experience prepare you to review these cases? I.e., what must you be prepared for, and how are you prepared?
So, I don't believe it's any secret that there have been a lot of changes that came up last legislative session, particularly with House Bill 5, that revised a lot of Kentucky's criminal code, and a lot of that was retroactive. So I foresee some of those issues coming in front of the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court in the future. In addition to that, there have already been cases that have come in front of the court involving 202C, which is a mental health statute that states that a criminal defendant charged with a very serious felony criminal case, such as murder or a Class A felony or a Class B felony, who is found incompetent to stand trial because of a serious mental illness or disability, is going to be placed or is eligible to be placed in a mental institution or state hospital until they reach a competence level where they are not a danger to the public or to themselves. But the way that that statute is worded, both the Court of Appeals and the Kentucky Supreme Court have indicated that there are some issues with the statute that need to be reviewed by the courts, but none of the cases that have come in front of the court so far are ripe for appellate review in the way that they've made it up to the bench. So those are something that may come in front of the court in the future. Other issues that might possibly come in front of the court involve family law, forced arbitration or mediation, and I think my background is diverse, and in that sense, I'm prepared to handle those issues. I also have experience in specialty courts, and we're trying to expand specialty courts statewide. The model court that I created in Davis County is now becoming a model statewide to increase that. There are pilot projects, including pilot projects throughout Western Kentucky, and those issues might eventually make it up to the Court of Appeals or to the Supreme Court. And having that experience with specialty courts, I believe, will be important.
I think it's no secret that House Bill 5 is going to be the bill that is going to be litigated and litigated and litigated. There's a lot of different parts, a lot of different moving parts of House Bill 5. It was a very comprehensive plan that our state legislature put together. It covers everything from enhanced penalties, and I think there's going to be some issues of at what point do those enhanced penalties go in place? Do they go with cases that are already in the system, or are they only future cases? I believe that there's going to be some litigation over some of the nuances of some of the new statutes that or some of the new crimes that they put in place in House Bill 5. I think you're also going to see some litigation out of the fact that Governor Beshear uses a lot of executive orders, so I think you're going to see some litigation. In fact, you're already seeing litigation based on some of the executive orders that are out there. My experience, as one attorney told me just the other day, I am born for this type of position. I am a researcher, I am a writer, I am an intellectual, and that's what the Court of Appeals is. The Court of Appeals, everything is done in writing. With family court, everything is done in writing. Family court doesn't have jurors. For the last 18 years, I am used to researching, I am used to writing all of my own decisions, and that is what the Court of Appeals does. So I think with my background and my experience and my ability to analyze information, that the Court of Appeals is perfect for me.
Let's see next. It says we Judge Fleming. Okay, speaking of writing, getting the word out, how important is it for appellate judges to explain their rulings? How would you, or do you communicate complex legal decisions to the public?
Well, that is the number one job of a Court of Appeals decision. Every decision is done in writing, and what you might not understand about the Court of Appeals is we don't have true trials and litigation in front of the Court of Appeals. It's mainly done through paper. I mean, there are oral arguments in a few cases each term, but overall, it's done by writing. So the attorneys or litigants will file what we call briefs, but it's writing, making their argument of why they think they're right, and the other side will file their brief explaining why they think they're right. And the Court of Appeals judge goes through the file, reviews the video of the hearing, listens to the oral arguments if there are oral arguments, and then makes a decision. It's important that the decision is very well done and that it has the facts of what happened in it, so that when we can apply it for future cases, we can see what facts were involved, and that it has the correct law and the application of the facts to the law. The main thing that the Court of Appeals does is determine whether or not there are any errors that were made in the lower court. We are not there to retry the case. We're not there to substitute our opinion of what the result should have been. in the case, we're to look at the facts, the law, and see whether or not there was any abuse of discretion made by the trial court. And I think that is something that, as a family court judge, having to do all my writing, that I've gotten very good at the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. So I keep it straight and to the point.
I think it's important that people realize that the Court of Appeals is not a second bite at the apple. You're not retrying your case. We're not looking to see, well, I would have done something differently than what the trial court judge did. We're there, as Judge Fleming said, to make sure that the person's rights were protected at the lower level and that the law was followed. We look for, when we're looking at matters of fact, was there something that was clearly erroneous? Was there really no way the judge could listen to those facts and come up with that decision? And that's a pretty high standard for someone to overcome. When we look at the law, we're looking to see if they made mistakes in their application of the law, and that's a little bit of a lower standard for us to look at. But the role of the judge is obviously to write the opinions, obviously to look at what the lower court did and determine, do we need to affirm that decision and say the judge did it right? Do we need to send that decision back, or we call it a remand, to go back and change something or look at something or write your ruling a little bit better? Or do we need to reverse because they made a clear error? So we have those three options at the Court of Appeals. But where it comes down to, it's writing, it's explaining it, but it's explaining it in the language of the people so that they understand what's being done and they understand why. I think a lot of when people look at the courts right now, people think that it's partisan. People think that things aren't fair. They think that things are being made because of a party platform or because of a whim of the judge. And I think a clearly written opinion helps explain the law. It helps explain the situation. It shows empathy to the parties, and it uses language that people can understand when they look at that opinion so they can follow the roadmap that the judge is laying out, and they realize why that decision was made, and they don't think that it was arbitrary or capricious.
Thank you. I think we have a few extra minutes. Let me do a follow-up. How can you get that out to the public in a better way? How can you get your decisions out? Is it up to you and your staff, or is it the lawyers themselves? Because a lot of times I don't think appellate cases get to the public ears.
Unfortunately, not a lot of appellate cases get published. That's reserved usually for the Supreme Court. The Court of Appeals can publish decisions, and then the Supreme Court can come and say, no, we don't want your decision to be published. So ultimately, the Supreme Court has that power over the Court of Appeals decisions. But the presiding judge who writes the opinion has the authority to say, I think I want this case to be published. But you don't want to publish every single case. You want to make sure that the case that's being published is a case that is looking at something new, something unique, something that there's not already guidance out there for attorneys and for judges who are looking at the case. That's the importance of the three-person panel. Every Court of Appeals decision is looked at by three judges, so that the goal is for those three judges to agree. Because if one judge writes a presiding opinion, another judge writes a dissent, and another judge says, well, I agree with the result, but I don't like how you got there, then there is no guidance for anyone underneath of us. There's no guidance for the trial court. There's no guidance for the judges who are underneath us. And so making sure that when you publish a case, it's a case that's going to be noteworthy, a case that's going to be helpful, and then to make sure, again, that you're doing it in a way people can understand. And again, with the goal of reaching a collaboration with those three judges. And that's another form of checks and balances to make sure that the decision is not arbitrary or capricious.
Every Friday morning, if you go to courts.ky.gov at 9 a.m. Central Time, you can actually go to, at the very top, you'll see Court of Appeal, you'll see courts, you hit that, you hit Court of Appeals, and then you'll see minutes. If you hit that minutes tab, it has every decision that had come down for that week. So the way that it works is you'll see the case name, you'll see a little hyperlink that will have the actual opinion, and then you'll see what county that opinion came from. So on Fridays, if you want to find out exactly what every decision was, you can go there and you can actually look and say, oh, well, there's a Henderson County decision. I want to see what happened in Henderson County. I want to see what if they agreed that our judge didn't abuse their discretion, or if they reversed it, why did they reverse our judge? But that is where you get it. Now, the Supreme Court does it once a month, 10 months out of the year, and that is usually the fourth Thursday of the month. It could be the third Thursday of the month. It all depends on how the months run. But the same thing, you go to the same website, courts.ky.gov, hit Supreme Court, and the way the Supreme Court works is even better. They have, in any published case, they have a description of what the actual decision is. And those are really great because you know exactly what that case is about, what the topics are, what the issue was, and what the ruling was, and then you can click it and actually read it. And I would guarantee you most of our legislators look at that on the third or fourth Thursday of the month to see. But they are very open, very transparent to the community.
Okay, thank you. Back to Judge Jones for the last question. In what ways do you see technology affecting the judicial process, and how would you adapt to these changes as a judge?
So COVID brought a lot of changes to the court system, where previously attorneys would drive to court and appear in front of the judge, and prisoners would be shipped over from the jail to the courthouse. Now a lot of things are done remotely. It helps with the parties who are hiring attorneys, because they don't have to pay an attorney from far away to drive for a couple hours to get to a courthouse if they're able to go online and do court. It also helps with safety, that we're not bringing prisoners over from the jail and transporting them. Also, one of the major issues that's confronting the courts is the use of AI. It's confronting all public. And there are apps now where you can write a legal brief using AI. You do have to be careful, because it might be good at crafting something that sounds nice, but when it cites legal citations, they're not correct. They make those up as well. So it's important for judges to be aware of that and to look and to make sure that you're following the law. But it's something that everybody has to be aware of, because AI is a tool, and we want to encourage judges to use the tool, to be aware of it. We want to encourage attorneys to use the tool and be aware of it, because technology will continue to improve our lives, make our lives easier, make attorneys' lives easier, and help make litigation more affordable to parties, so that parties aren't held back from seeking justice because they're afraid of what it will cost them. So technology can help in that sense, but again, everybody has to be aware of its limitations, and everybody has to be aware of its abuses. And so I think it's an important issue for the courts to be aware of. I've attended sessions on that through the Kentucky Bar Association and through the Court of Appeals. They're making sure that our judges are aware and know how it's being used and know how to use it themselves.
That has been the biggest change over the last 18 years, has been the increase of technology within the courtroom. When I first started, everything was handwritten, everything was what we call web signed and filed with the clerk, and then, of course, you would type out your main orders. Nowadays, we are able to e-file, which means that we're able to actually take our order and electronically sign it and send it out by email, so that litigants no longer have to wait days to get the order through the mail. They can actually get it within minutes of us signing it and the clerk approving it. We have gotten to the point of going to, actually, we're buying a new case management system. It's over $30 million. I'm on the committee that chose the new case management system for the administrative offices of the courts. And when you get that, you're actually going to be able to go online as a citizen and pull up any public case, and you're going to be able to print off every document that was filed with that case. That's going to be, I think you're going to be looking at probably 2028 for that to be officially everywhere, but thanks to the legislature with approving the money for the e-filing, we have that available. But generative AI is the future. We're all going to have to adapt to it. We're all going to have to embrace it. The one thing that I've been very happy with is we do remote hearings in a lot of my cases. So when we have family members who cannot afford to miss their work, they can appear remotely for their 15-minute hearings, so they don't have to miss a day of work. We ask them to have jobs, we ask them to have houses, and they lose their job because of court. That's not right, so we're able to accommodate them.
All right, we were ahead of time, so that's 3 questions. So we're going to, back to you, Jason, Judge Fleming. Just 1 minute. Why are you the best person for the job?
I believe that I'm the best person for the job because this is the type of work that I love doing. I have a Western Kentucky conservative background. I believe that judges don't make the law, judges apply the law, judges interpret the law, and I think we need that type of vision on the Court of Appeals. I will say, though, that I admire Judge Jones. She and I have known each other since law school. This is not personal. An open seat came up. Both of us just wanted the open seat. And so we're both running for the seat. If she wins, I will fully support her, and I hope if I win that she will fully support me.
I believe that I'm the best candidate for the position because of my diversity and experience. I believe I have the most well-rounded experience for the job. I've also taught across the nation on fields of juvenile justice, on fields of mental health, and talking to the public, educating law enforcement, educating other judges in other states, educating legislators in other states. I love research, I love writing, but first and foremost, I believe a judge is a public servant. I believe a judge is there to explain the law. I believe a judge is there to protect the people. I believe a judge is there to make sure that everyone's rights are protected. Everyone. A judge is a nonpartisan position, and I'm there to keep the taint of politics and the taint of partiality from the judicial bench. I believe judges need to be independent to keep their integrity and to keep the integrity of the justice system. And I again believe that a judge is a public servant, and I serve all the people.
Okay, that's set up. Thank you, Judge Fleming. Thank you, Judge Jones. We're going to take a pause while we
Okay. We're gonna have the candidates pass the mic. I'll keep this one up here. We'll start off with self-introductions. So we'll start off, we'll alphabetical order. So Kelsey Hart.
Wow, I get to go first tonight. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Kelsey Hargis. I am 34 years old, and I am a Henderson native. I hold a bachelor's degree from the University of Southern Indiana. After college, I lived out of town for a few years working for an international company. In 2015, I came home to marry my sweetheart, Zeb Hargis, who is also a Hendersonian back there. And at that time, I was also given the opportunity to come back and work for a local community bank, which is where I'm at now. Outside of work, I do serve on multiple boards, committees, and volunteer for numerous projects in our community, which I won't list because I'm afraid Madison will ding me. But I'm someone who truly believes in service above self, and volunteering your time is certainly one of the most impactful ways that you can make a difference, and also one of the reasons I am running for commissioner. Of course, I want all of the best things for Henderson, but I currently believe that the state of politics has really deterred a lot of candidates from running, and we're seeing that now at the local level. I was concerned, given the number of candidates, what if next election cycle we only have 4, and those 4 people are automatically put in charge of running our city? That's a big deal. So for me, I think my biggest hope with this election, win or lose, is that it encourages others to run next time around, because I think the best thing that we can give our community is choices. But that's also why I would like to thank each and every one of you for being up here, because I can't express how important that really is.
I'm Robert Pruitt. I was born and raised here in Henderson, Kentucky. I'm a graduate from the merger between city and county. When I graduated, still going to college and taking 2 basketball scholarships and going to one of the schools, I decided to stay here because I was in love. I married my high school sweetheart, Lily Smith, at the time. We've been married for 43 years. We have 2 wonderful kids. I don't call them kids now. 2 wonderful adults who are still on my bill. One is Risha, who was, matter of fact, 2022 was named the #1 coach in the whole United States. I have a son who's living in Atlanta, who's ministering over good, who had the #1 gospel song in the country for 4 months running. So they're doing what they want to do, and for me, I've been a city councilman for 6 terms. I've been involved in politics probably the last 25 to 30 years. I helped write the comprehensive plan for the city of Henderson for the next 20, 25 years. I've served on numerous boards. When you go by the Newman Park and you look at the baseball fields, I did the first draft on the sports side. At that time, the other guys who was in that position, they didn't want any mixed any industrial with softball and recreational. So I persuaded them at that time. When she said 30, that kind of jarred me. She said she was 30 something. I was, whoop. I remember those days, but back in those days, so that's why the baseball field was there. But my same reason for running is the same reason I'm running again, is to make Henderson a great place for your family and my family to live, grow up in, and to really, really enjoy the life's all about.
Hi, my name is Rodney Thomas, and I too, through Henderson, born and raised here. And I was a freshman during the merger. I graduated County High in 80, and then got a bachelor's degree from Western, graduated there in 85. I'm the owner of Rookies and On Deck, and I've been doing that for 38 years now. My wife Liz is from Union County. We've been married for 33 years. We have a son, Quinn, who's just named one of the top 20 under 40. He's the 3rd generation Rookies owner now. And we have a granddaughter, Lucy, who's just a little year old now. I've served on this commission for 4 years. I'm running currently for my 3rd term. I've always said, my family has made a living off of this city, and when you get to the point, you have to give back. And this is my way of giving back to this city. best they can for our children and our grandchildren.
Good evening. First, thank you to the Chamber for allowing us to be here tonight, for the Public Library for hosting it, obviously for the Henderson and for agreeing to moderate. My name is Nick Witt, currently City Commissioner. I haven't been in office since January of 2023. I'm a native of Henderson. I moved back to Henderson in 2015 after graduating from the University of Kentucky for undergrad, and the University of Louisville for law school. I'm a husband, married to my wife, who's in the audience tonight, for 5 years. She's a nurse practitioner. We have 3 wonderful children together, 2 girls ages 11 and 4, and an 18-month-year-old son. I'm a licensed attorney in Kentucky, and I have an investment background. Currently, I work at a large regional bank where I serve on our trust legal council and also oversee all of our management of all of our unique assets across our entire footprint, and really across the entire country as a whole. Active in our community, I currently serve on our Rotary Board. Prior to that, I was a board chair for our local United Way, board president for our local Habitat for Humanity, and also served as former board member for Henderson Area Arts Alliance and the Henderson Family YMCA. I've greatly enjoyed my time on the commission for the last 2 years. It's been a great honor to serve the citizens of Henderson. We've made a lot of progress over the last few years, even before that time. And I think for me, I think as you'll hear tonight, there's a lot of momentum building in our city, and I want to be a part of continuing to do that. So I greatly appreciate your support over everything.
Good afternoon. I'm Dwight Williams. I'm also a native of Henderson. Went to Henderson County High. I graduated from Western Kentucky University with my bachelor's degree, where I also was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army as an intelligence officer. Spent 30 years with the Army. Also while in the Army, I went to the Army War College where I got my master's degree. I've been married for 32 years to my wife, and this November I have 3 daughters, 5 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. My wife and I go to Holy Name Church, and we're very active in that church right now. I have 2 sisters, and my mom will be 93 on 1 November. So we retired in 2014, came back to Henderson. One thing about the military is all about service to others. So when I came back, I got involved in several organizations, several boards, several committees, which I'm still on, and I've enjoyed that. And I thought it was time to continue to serve the community by running for city commissioner. And my family has been in Henderson County for at least 9 generations that I know of. So Henderson means a lot to me. I want to see Henderson grow and prosper. I want to make sure that we are safe and secure as well in the future. So as your city commissioner, there's 3 things I kind of want to look at. And one is, as a new guy, I haven't been on the commission before, I'm really interested in all these multi-million-dollar projects we have and how we're funding them with dollars. We have 2 minutes, right? Okay. With the dollars. So I want to understand that process, as well as how we're sustaining these projects in the long term for 10, 20, 30 years. I'm also concerned about the homeless situation that we're having is growing, and the drug issue that we're having. We need to address those and come up with solutions. And lastly, I-69 is great. I'm all excited for it, but I am concerned about the businesses on 41 and how that's going to impact them, and we need to work on that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tom Williams. I guess I make it complete. We're all Henderson natives. Graduated from Henderson County High School and University of Kentucky with a bachelor's in civil engineering. I have an MBA from Murray State. Lived here most of my life. For a short time, I lived in Evansville because of a job situation where I had to live there. But I came back to Henderson. Been married for 33 years to my wife, Marlene. We had 2 sons, Alan and Daniel. Alan's back in Henderson and is married, and we have 2 grandchildren, thanks to Alan and Maddie. My background is as an engineer, has been working for small companies and large companies. I've owned a small business. I've worked for a multinational corporation as an engineer. And my last 15 years have been, well, close to 20 years, have been in the area of water, wastewater, and stormwater management. I was the general manager of water utilities here. Recently retired, and my reason for running is I want to give back to the community that's been very, very good to me. I think there's a place for mature leadership in a commission like this. I hope I can bring that to the table. Thank you.
Okay, first question. I-69. We're all excited about what I-69 can bring, and everyone's making plans for it. But my question is, there's one thing that we're not so excited about, and that's what it's going to do to the strip. So what plans or ideas do you have to help businesses on the strip if in fact, as the plan is right now, the southbound bridge closes when I-69 comes? Sorry.
So I think that it is imperative that we continue to lobby for the state and local government to keep both bridges open. I know this is an issue that all of the community is behind, city, county, you name it. But I also believe that we need to be diligently working on a plan B just in case. So what can we do? Are there other avenues or partnerships that we can search for? Would Evansville be interested in continuing a partnership with us to keep at least one bridge open? We certainly have a substantial investment that's coming with the Audubon Conference Center, and I think that the 41 Strip has incredible potential for a revitalization effort, and I certainly do not want to see it just become a wasteland. So with the new convention center coming, I hope we get a new hotel. I hope that encourages other businesses and supports the one that we do have, but I do think that that is something that we need to be working on to keep at least one of those open.
Well, that's the real big question. That's the elephant in the room. What's going to happen when the new bridges go up? One of the things that we're doing, we're constantly putting pressure on the state to make sure that we keep at least one. And let's just say, for instance, we don't keep any and we have to close, we can't afford to do that. One thing about the commission that I serve on, this commission will have a plan for those people that be misplaced. I don't think it's going to affect the car dealerships very much because I think they'll be okay. But there's some small businesses out there that it may affect more. But with the new conference center coming in Alvin Park, that's going to help out. We may get, in anything, when change comes, people will adapt. And this city commission, I think we'll have incentives to move small businesses from one piece and help them get started out there closer to I-69, the interchange, where it comes over. This commission will be there for the people. If both bridges are closed, if I'm on it, we will be there to make sure that we make them whole.
Yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but one of those bridges is gonna go. And not a damn thing we can do. It's gonna be too expensive for most states to keep it up, it's just one of them goes. Now, one of them will stay. Now, what we have to do is, when I-69 comes in, we have to make sure we have the easiest access, most convenient access before we want. So some of those places can survive, but it's inevitable. A lot of those places are gonna go. It's gonna happen, so we have to look at plan B. Now, imagine this, if we're gonna study, imagine one day we take 4 lanes, make it 2. We put medians in the middle of 41 Strip, green space, you make U-turns, legal U-turns, or if you got to go inside, you do that. You take sidewalks all the way down both sides, connect it all. You turn these shopping centers into apartment complexes. You turn these gas stations into enclosed the local restaurants. You make 41 a destination instead of an eyesore. And this can happen. Now, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a lot of money. But we have to start planning and look at this in the future.
Yeah, I think all of our answers are going to be very similar on this. To argue what everybody's saying, it seems like we're going to close, but we should obviously still continue to try to advocate to keep open and local, and we'll continue to advocate to that to the very end. But obviously, at the same time, we need to try to work for other solutions, as everybody's alluded to already. The Planning Commission's already kind of started that process. They've had a work session, if you will, to kind of talk about, to get a lot of people's minds together in terms of how you can attract people to go to the street. And in my opinion, it's no real different than it is right now in terms of trying to attract people downtown, right? So a lot of people that come to Evansville and pass through to go to Nashville or other locations really have no clue that we have downtown for the most part. I know a lot of people say, well, I thought the only thing in Henderson was a strip. But we've obviously taken a lot of energy and time to try to market our downtown and try to increase the awareness of what we have going on downtown through signage and greenery and other things of that nature. I think it would be the exact same approach that we have to take to the strip, which is to try to attract people to that area. And Rodney, Commissioner Thomas has some really good ideas in terms of how to perhaps change the roads. And inevitably, I agree that there's going to be some changes. Some of the businesses will close, and basically, it's how do we support those businesses and try to help them. But in the meantime, try to continue to advocate for that bridge and continue to work with the planning commission on their ideas to try to help them bring that together and come up with some new ideas to hopefully continue to attract people to the strip.
As a new guy around here, as far as not having all these served on the commission before, what I wanted to do, because remember, I thought that was an issue we should look at, is I wanted to get with all the business owners on Pike on 41 and understand the impact if there's one bridge, two bridges, or no bridges. A lot of those filling stations out there are service semi. It's my understanding that even when we have one bridge, semi-traffic will not be used on those bridges for maintenance. I think that's correct, perhaps I'm wrong. I think we need to sit down with all these business owners and understand what their business model is. What's the impact if there's one bridge, if there's two bridges, if there's no bridges, especially if there's two bridges or one bridge, but you can't use a semi-truck. What's that going to do with Circle K? Can they stay in business with losing the semi-truck business? I don't know the answer to that. I think all these are good ideas, but we got to look at not only the businesses out there, but what people alluded to, is those employees out there. That would be a very bad economic impact if hundreds of people lost their job. And where would they go? It would be an economic impact to our community. So we really need to work with those, again, with those business owners, understand what their impact is, what their plans are. Do they plan on staying? Do they plan on moving? Commissioner Pruitt mentioned about moving to the other side of the strip when we get to New 69. My guess is that's going to be prime property at prime prices. And small business owners are probably not going to be able to afford that kind of property and move. Moving a filling station would be very expensive by the time you clean up the gas station stuff there and try to move and buy more land. So it's a good idea. I hope we can make that strip. I'm afraid there's going to be new people and not some of the old people that we have today on the street. Thank you.
I'm glad Commissioner Thomas wanted to be the bearer of bad news because he's exactly right. The chances of both bridges remaining open are very slim. It would literally take an act of Congress to do that more than likely. So I think we have to plan for the future of what's going to happen there. Redevelopment of that area, if we can relax zoning restrictions, or as Commissioner Thomas said, the old Walmart shopping center that's mostly vacant now, it's like a prime location for multifamily housing, which is short in our community and needs to be expanded. There is going to be a process where that big part of our tax base and our employment base that's on 41 is going to shift over to the other corridor. And anything that the city government can do to smooth that transition and make it easier for business owners, welcome new businesses, relocate those employees for those new businesses, I think that's kind of the things we need to be planning for.
Okay, next question, and this one starts with Commissioner Pruitt. Local groups are working hard to combat addiction and its effects in Henderson, including those with Women's Addiction Resource Center, Recovery Resource Club of Henderson, and others, and also local law enforcement. The city helps fund some of the positions with grants, the homeless case manager for one. But should the city do more? Can the city do more? Is it the job of the city to do more? And if so, what?
Well, any city, when it comes to drug addiction, and all cities are facing with the influx of fentanyl and overdose of young kids, any city can always do more. I think this commission has done a great job in funding those things that you just mentioned, but we can do more. I think we ought to have a little bit more interaction with our seniors and their parents before they graduate, to really have more contact and let them know just how serious the drug problem is. It's not like it used to be, go out and maybe you're a senior and you graduate and you're 18 and you smoke a joint. You could go out now and you smoke a joint or marijuana or something, and it could kill your kids. We have to do a better job and let them know how serious this drug problem has gotten. But I think our commission right now, we've done a great job in funding with the Warren Center. I think we fund a lot of other nonprofit addiction stuff. But I think we could do a better job in bringing in the school system and letting them have more meetings with the parents before the kids graduate, and let them know just how serious this fentanyl and drug addiction and how it affects their lives as going forward. But we can always do better, and I just think that when it comes to addiction, not only that, our churches, we can do a better job in having them come on board and having more conferences and let them to explain to their membership that, hey, drugs is a serious problem. It's just not kids smoking marijuana anymore. Your kid could smoke marijuana laced with fentanyl, and that'd be the last time that you speak to your kids. So I think we can do a better job of bringing that to the forefront, how serious it is.
I agree with Commissioner Pruitt. There's a lot more we can do. Educate. That's what we have to do. It's a proven fact that we educate children at a young age, in grade school, in primary school, just everywhere. If you educate them, keep educating, they're less likely to travel. So you drugs these days, you travel once, you're addicted. I got a nephew who was a paralyzed. Now he's 20 years ago, now he's really common citizen in this community. So we can be held, and now we have to treat addiction. It is a disease, it's not a curse. So just because you addicted to drugs doesn't mean you're a bad person, doesn't mean that you can't be better than being contributed to society. We have to take that stigma out. And the city and county fund Carrie, with the Warren system, she's a stop the overdose project coordinator. And she does a great job of educating kids, and she's doing there to school. She's big on Narcan, getting Narcan in the hands of everybody. So if you do have an overdose, you might be able to save a person. But that's another thing, we can help fund more Narcan just to get in everybody's hands, just in case something bad does happen.
Yeah, I would agree. Education obviously is the main point of it. I'm glad you mentioned the positions that are being funded, because I think it's the first time in the history of the city, probably the city's looked to that avenue. Obviously, we're grateful for the opioid money from the federal government to be able to do that for the Stop Overdose project that Commissioner Thomas alluded to. I think when you hear Ms. Gentry come and present about all the work they're doing in the community in terms of trying to raise awareness, and they're not that far along in the project of doing that, that just shows you, how lucky we are to have the Warren Center in Henderson. I think without that, I think we would, I'm not gonna say we'd be lost right now, but I think we would be in a tough spot. But they've done a tremendous job. I think also our police department has been very, very compassionate to try to help. I know, we met last year, and there was enormous amount of overdoses at the beginning of the year, and to the police department's credit, they were very compassionate. They tried to help any way they could to try to combat that. And we have to just continue to do more in terms of funding for that education. The city obviously has an important role in it, but we also, have to be able to, as a city, right, we can fund other programs that the city can otherwise provide services for, but perhaps we're not staffed appropriately to do that. So we should continue to try to find funding to try to help those resources.
I was going to agree with everybody has said. That's the Tom. It's a bad situation in town. I think every family's probably been touched by drug addiction. Our family has. It's nice to have these case managers to work with. I think as a new commissioner, I would want to talk to these case managers and kind of understand what their needs are, and definitely bring it before the commission. And it's fund whatever we can fund, in state or local or even federal grants and resources. I think we also need to stop the drugs from coming into Henderson. There's no doubt there's drug task force already on operation. Oddly enough, as an intelligence officer, we actually did counter narcotics at the national level. And we probably need to get a stronger task force in here. So let's stop these drugs. We're never going to stop them. There's always going to be drugs. But let's alleviate so many drugs in the city. Let's stop the drug flow. And education is definitely key to our kids in the city. We got to educate, I agree. And whatever we can do for funding, we need to do within the city.
it's hard to come up with something else to say at this point. That's the beauty of going next to last, I guess, Chelsea. They all are right. Drugs are a big problem. And it's, you don't really realize it, but it can hit you in your workplace too. When we built the new systems operations center for the water utility, we installed AEDs, and everybody sees AEDs around all the time. We did 2 or 3 of those around our buildings. And our safety guy also installed a package of Narcan on the side of each AED because overdoses can happen at work too. It can be something that you can encounter in your daily life that you have no idea you hit on. So I think education is key, and interdiction efforts are good. Drugs and homelessness are tied together. The homeless problem that we have is something I think we're probably going to address later. But maximum efforts and continuing to fund these positions that the city has set up are a good idea.
I mean, I did agree with you guys.
Unfortunately, this is a national trend, I think, that we are experiencing, and not just locally. What you guys said earlier, in January, I think the statistics from the overdose deaths were staggering, and that hits a local community pretty hard. I really appreciate the city funding the projects like the Recovery Resource Club and the work that Carrie Gentry has done. And if you haven't seen her talk or one of her presentations, it will bring a tear to your eye. She's giving examples of students in high school that went to try a vape for the first time, and it was laced with something else. And I mean, it will absolutely just break your heart. So I think one of the benefits for a community like ours is being able for Carrie to come to commission and report those things and actually see some numbers behind it. But I think it's a great resource that we do need to keep funding, because as Tom said too, I think that if we can give the individuals the help they need ahead of time, hopefully that can alleviate some of the problems like homelessness on the backside.
Does the current commission or those seeking office believe that progress in diversity and inclusion is reflective in Henderson, in light of the economic growth that our area is experiencing?
Yes, I do. I mean, Robert, on commission. I think we have many groups, Charles, Lee, we have many positions that are led by people of diversity and truth. I see people with you. That's what I see. I don't see much colors, different colors, different things. I just see everybody as people. And I think we as a commission have been cognizant of this and have really done a very good job, and we've been aware of it.
Yeah, it's, I was saying, Veronica is a middle-aged white male, and I'm trying to attempt to answer this question. But I will say, I think we are a welcoming community. I think if you talk to people in the community, I'm not aware of people sharing many stories of enormous barriers that they're facing currently. I think that's credit to every citizen that we have that has tried to be a welcoming community, as Commissioner Porter mentioned, and Commissioner Thomas. You can look all around our community in terms of people in leadership positions, whether it be people of color, whether it be people just from different genders or from different socioeconomic backgrounds. I think we, as a community of 28,000 people, have really come together, and a lot of the national issues that you see that divide communities, we haven't really experienced. And I think that a lot of that is just a credit to how compassionate of a community we are.
That is a tough question. I haven't personally seen it, having the growth, how it was tied to diversity and inclusion. I think someone said it, but I do believe in treating everyone fairly, regardless of who they are and what they do. Fairly is the most important thing we can do. It's nice to have diversity, obviously, amongst the work staff, amongst the commission. Again, I think keeping people fair is the most important thing we can do for the city.
I think the city does a good job as a former employee. In the hiring process, there are attempts made to reach out to different communities. It's a tough thing. Sometimes there are barriers to break down, and I think the city, through their processes, have done a good job of that. I think maybe one thing that we talk about in diversity, we tend to think of race or gender, but we also need to think about class. This commission has done a good job of starting out trying to spend money in the East End, where a lot of the poor residents live. I think that's commendable and something that needs to be continued.
So, it's the golden rule, right? Treat others how you want to be treated. And I do think that's incredibly important and something that I have seen reflected. But, I mean, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for more. And I want others to feel like they are welcome in Henderson. You know, there's certainly always room for someone else to pull up another seat to the table. And I hope that we are reflective of that and encourage anybody to come and join our community and their mission and what they do. You know, I love Henderson, and I want everyone in our community to experience that same feeling.
Well, I told Rodney I probably should have been first. I would probably say maybe 8 years ago, I did an in-house study of diversity. And what I found out was every department in the city, when it comes to diversity, especially African Americans, you could put the same draft over the same copy and it looked the same way. Maybe this department never had any African Americans. Maybe this department never had any. But what I did was, instead of making it public, making a big issue out of it, I went to work behind the scenes. We had never in the city of Henderson ever hired any African American in a supervisory position, ever. When I look at that, is that on purpose? Or maybe they weren't qualified? So you have to dig deeper into all of that. And so what I came up with, Trey Stevens is the first African American that ever was hired by the city of Henderson in a supervisory position. And I applaud our efforts to get him that position. Matter of fact, my father-in-law was the first supervisor that ever served the city of Henderson, but he was the supervisor of sanitation, but he had worked his way up for 27 years. But the first one that was hired was Trace because of the study. We can always do more. When I look at, when I come in the city building, I look and say, hey, is there any diversity here? Where can we do better? But when I look at everybody we have now, we have improved our diversity in the last 10 years. There's diversity on the water, on the streets, city work, all over, more than we've ever had, but we can always do a better job. And I want to be on the council to make sure we see that part of it.
Your next question. The city, under Mayor Staten's direction, has implemented the Intercity Improvement Plan, which groups meet throughout the year and then present their ideas to be voted upon by East End residents. The city then implements it. Obviously, you know about this. There's a guaranteed $300,000 for it. I think last year spend more in implementing these. My question is it enough? Should more be done to help improve the neighborhood? I'm going to add a little bit to this too. Kind of take a change over here. Should also other neighborhoods be more be done with other neighborhoods too? I mean, is the East End getting most of the focus in other neighborhoods are losing out on city dollars?
Yeah, you know, I think Mayor Staten was here. I don't know if he's still here or not, but you know, major shout out to him for kind of championing that idea a couple of years ago. I think it was one of the things I was most excited about in running 2 years ago was to have an opportunity to have a seat at the table to try to help with the inner city improvement plan. You know, I'm not a historian by any stretch, but I feel like this is probably the first time in the city's history that the city's allocated that kind of funds on a yearly basis to the inner city. Again, can we do more? You know, it's common theme. Yeah, absolutely. Dollars don't fix it at all, but that does at least try to provide, hopefully, a start and at least show an interest for the city commission to try to improve that area of town. You know, I think that idea of doing $300,000 a year is nice, right? It was more of a, I think, a budget placeholder than it was a commitment of just $300,000. Do I think we could do more? Absolutely. Habitat for Humanity has mentioned the idea of putting up $500,000 to combat blight in that area, and they're seeking partnership to raise another $500,000, it would be $1 million. I think that would be outside of the $1.2 million that's been discussed to be devoted to that area. Maybe a month or two ago, Mayor State kind of asked everybody's opinion on the commission. We all agreed that we thought the city should have a seat at that table, whether it's an extra $500,000 or what that amounts to. We all agreed that we should try to help with the blight in the area. Obviously, if you tear the houses down that nobody's living in, way past improvement, then you can then hopefully foster some new development in that area. I've enjoyed being on the affordable housing and blight project for their city, and I know a lot of people have been involved in that project. But the really cool thing is to see people from that part of the community actually have a seat at the table and have a say, right? Because it's not fair to us, nor is it something we should do to go to another part of town and tell them what they should want and how they should want it, right? And to get to the last part of the question, I think the city could walk you both at the same time, right? So we focused on more areas of the community than just that area.
I do want to thank Mayor Staple for doing that. I think it's a great idea. I grew up in the East End. The East End today is not the East End when I grew up. The Army has a concept called crawl, walk, run. You have to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. So I think he picked the right neighborhood to start with of all of our neighborhoods. Should we look at other neighborhoods in the future? Sure. After we get done with this, we're developing our tactics and techniques and procedures now to how are we going to fix our community. And we can apply that same concept in the future to other neighborhoods if we decide to continue to fund this project in the future. Of course, we could spend more, but I think 300 was a good number to spend with. It probably wasn't a budget issue. The 300,000 is a good place to start. That's a lot of money. We've done a lot of things already in phase 1. We're getting ready to brief out, I think, phase 2 in December, if I'm not mistaken. And there's going to be a lot put out in. We're working with the local business owners who want to expand. We're looking at business owners who want to come into the inner city and bring businesses. And we are talking to the community there. What do you want? What do you need? Are we moving in the right direction? As you may recall, the first phase we did that, they all came and they voted on 8 or 9 things. Oddly enough, they voted on flock cameras for the neighborhoods. So we've done a lot for that neighborhood, and I think the progress is going good, and working with the local business owner and the community there to see what they want is the right thing.
I'd second that. I think the initiative that's been started in the East End is a good idea. I think as we plan to expand that maybe into other areas of the city, we possibly should look at starting neighborhood associations and allow people in neighborhoods to form groups to bring their concerns to the city, things that they want to see in their neighborhoods done. People feel detached from city government a lot of times. You hear that they don't think that the city pays attention to their neighborhood. I hear that a lot as I've traveled around the community the last few months. And I think we need to do more to engage individuals and groups. And possibly setting up neighborhood associations would be one way to do that.
So I do believe that the funds that were earmarked for the inner city is a great starting point. I attended the last inner city meeting and I was really impressed by the presentations that were given. Particularly, like Nick mentioned, in the blighting housing category, Henderson does need more affordable housing options, and I think that right there is a great opportunity. Will the city funds cover every single project? Probably not, but we can at least open the doors to help us create avenues for other community partners, like the one with Habitat that was mentioned. Because those community partnerships will allow us to receive additional funding from other places, grants, etc., that we might not otherwise receive. And I certainly think there's other opportunities to look at other neighborhoods, but the inner city needs the most attention right now.
First, I want to give our Senator Robbie Mills credit where credit is due. He and I started the inner city revitalization plan, what, Robbie, 20 years?
Maybe 15.
15 years, yeah, 15 years ago, and what we saw was some of the neglect from our city government, the effect that it was having on city East End people. Say, for instance, if you had a lot that was 50 feet, you couldn't rebuild on your grandmother's house. It was a shotgun, you couldn't rebuild. So we changed a lot of those laws. There's a store on Madison Street now. As you drive around on Madison, there's a store right there in the corner. You would have had to have 12 parking spaces on your own property. We changed those laws. So we were trying to make it better to make the East End come back to what it used to be, because some of the laws that the other administrations were putting in was hurting the people. Now, with our mayor and our commission now, we're embarking on trying to give as much help to I guess a neighborhood that's been neglected for years, and it's turning out great. People rebuilding their houses. For instance, I see my nephew, he lives in a real expensive neighborhood in Chicago. He got his lawnmower out, and before you know it, everybody's cutting the grass. Well, that's what we're trying to do on the East End. If you teach them how, you cut your lot, you paint your house, you can bring your community up as good as anywhere else. I know money separates. You know, if you live in a $500,000 house, you won't be living here. But whatever you got, we're teaching people to be proud of and have respect for what you got, and it can work out. And that 300,000 may not be enough, but if we need more, we've got more to put in. And it's 10 years from now, the East End is going to be amazing. And then we can move on to other neighborhoods that may need it, and that's what our plan is.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Yes, we can always do more. That's a good question. 300,000 though is kind of a starting place. We've already earmarked 750,000 that won't be used for the pavilion. It's going to go in Mini Park, which is going to reach that end. We've just got a grant. Well, we got a grant for 245,000, and we're the matching grant for Anthony Brooks Park. Revitalize that whole park. We just found out last night. We got a grant for our portion for 244,000. So we're going to have $500,000 revitalization of this park. It's going to cost us $1,000. So we are spending more. We spent $1.5 million on upgrades on sidewalks and current work we're doing on Electric Street. So there has been a lot more money out there, as Commissioner Witt alluded to. We've raised our black budget, and hopefully Habitat in the county will meet that, and we will have that $300,000 for the next 5 years to do that. And as far as what we can do for other parts of the city, we spent millions in country view, fixing the drainage and Canoe Creek problems. We help keep the golf course at Wolf Hills there, so their property values couldn't come up. And as far as like, you have a violent town, you have a convention center, you have a business like France, you have a sports park. Those things benefit the whole city, not just certain portions of the city.
Last question. Transparency is always a concern for citizens when watching their governments. First, for the incumbents question, so this is not direct to you. But for the incumbents, do you believe the city commission that you're on in the past 2 years is as transparent as it could be? Is there anything you would like seen done that would allow citizens to see and understand more the workings of city government? Okay. For the challengers, as you watched the city government the past couple of years, did you experience moments in which you believed more information was needed, or information was being withheld from you? If so, how do you plan to address transparency if you let the commission see?
Thank you. Well, first of all, transparency is very important. If I'm a commissioner, we will be transparent. I will tell you, I've been going to city commissioner meetings for at least 2 years. They've always been transparent. When I've asked a question of Steve Austin or Fran Staten, they've always given me the answer. Wesley Newman has opened up doors for me. I wanted to go see the fire department. He scheduled me to go see the fire department for the issues that we're having with their buildings. I was asking why we put in more fire departments. He said, go look at the ones we have. He had questions about the budget, but money was important to me. And he got me with Robert Gunther, what was his name, Gunther, before he left. And he opened up the books for the city. There's the budget. Look at it. That's what we're doing. That's where the money's going. So they've been very transparent, in my opinion. I've had no problems with that at all.
I think transparency is important, as Dwight said. I think it would be good possibly to vary the times of the city commission meetings to make them more accessible to people after hours. It's nice for the city staff for those meetings to start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because they can do it during the workday. But it's hard for a working person to get there. And I know even back when those meetings started at 5:30, there weren't a lot of people that showed up. But I think it is important to give the impression that at least we're trying to make those meetings more accessible. I also think it's important, probably the most important thing that's going to happen in the next couple of years is choosing a new city manager. I think that's very important that process be transparent and open.
So I'm fairly new to this, so in my experience in working with the city commission, has pretty much just been this group of guys right here. And I will say, thank you all for being fully transparent. Anytime I've ever had a question in my day-to-day workings and went to ask a question for clarification on something, I've always received an answer. And I would certainly extend that same courtesy. You know, I don't know if it's information that is necessarily being withheld, but there are so many moving parts in a city government. I know that it's also hard to keep up with unless you just really have the time to do so. There are multiple meetings, multiple readings, just lots of opportunities to miss information. So I don't think that anyone is not being transparent. I just think sometimes it's kind of hard to follow along. So I would encourage anyone to reach out to any of the commissioners, or myself included if that is the case. And like I said, certainly want to extend that to anybody because that is something, I mean, we're working for you guys, and I think that that's important that you get the answers that you want.
Well, I probably should be named Mr. Transparent. When I came on the city council, everything wasn't transparent. For instance, we may have had $33 million in a fund, and nobody wanted to tell the people that we had $33 million in a fund. And the reason they gave me when I first as a freshman councilman was that in case we raised the rates, people would get mad and say, why you got $33 million and we raised the rates? I said, it's the people's money, it's not our money. If you need to raise rates, make sure they understand why. So I pull back the cover on everything. I let them know where all our money was in every bank, every investment. It's their money, and I've been pushing that this is the people's government. We work for the people, they don't work for us, and it took me a while. It wasn't an easy road. Some of y'all may remember, Commissioner Crook was pretty vocal when I first came on council. And the reason why I was vocal was because of the people. I knew that this is the people's government, and the people I was serving with at that time believed it was their government. But I can truly say the commission that I've been on for the last 2 terms, it's the people's government. We work for you guys. And anything you need to know, you can ask any commissioner or mayor or our city manager about any money. We publicize all our funds, where our investments are. We do all of that. And being transparent, I was able to get back $10 million from a company that's been ripping us off for 40 years, our electrical company that was running it. And I was able to get $10 million because I was pursuing and I wouldn't take no for an ounce because there was some that didn't want to be very transparent. And they were stealing the city's money and the taxpayers' money, and I got that $10 million from them. So I'm saying I am Mr. Transparent. I want you to know everything about your government, and that's what I believe in.
It's really simple. Transparency makes our job so much easier. We're not hiding anything. We want you to know what Mr. Bruce says. We want you to know where your dollars are going and why. Because they're not our dollars, they're your dollars. Spending, we want you to know why, where it's being applied, what we're doing. And we've upgraded our visual and audio equipment to try to make our our meeting more presentable, put it out on Facebook and YouTube. And, well, just, I'll give you an example. Last night, at our meeting, we getting ready to vote, second reading of Airbnb ordinance. And the night before, we got a lot of opposition to it. Everybody got in their uproar. So we started asking questions why. And they voiced their concerns through social media. But what we decided, all right, we tabled it, and we're gonna have a work session with all concerned citizens, and then we'll come to a conclusion. But by being transparent, and they can come to us, we listen to them. We make a decision. We had a group of veterans at that meeting last night. They went to the veterans part down here on the river. So we're gonna do everything we can to try to help them do it. We had a pickleball group coming in. They want pickleball courts, which we have a shortage of, we're aware of that, so we're gonna work with them. So we'll listen to any concern that you have, and we'll try to remedy it as best we can. Now, we're not gonna be able to help everybody, we'll do the best we can, so I think, as far as I'm concerned, we are very transparent.
You know, I think the unique part, obviously, of city government is that we can be a very responsive form of government. There's an example last night, the short-term rental ordinance. That was the third time, I believe, it was coming to us. And every time we've listened to the concerns and have tried to act accordingly. That's just one example of many of them. I think the city's made a lot of progress over the last few years in terms of transparency. We have a public information officer who does a good job of trying to inform people on Facebook and other social media platforms and other ways, I guess, in general, in the media, of trying to get out the message ahead of time in terms of what we're going to be discussing at the city commission meetings and trying to pack as many people into the room as possible. It was you know, it's kind of scary and cool at the same time last night to see that big of a crowd, right? But it was neat to see that many people that actually were engaged and cared, and wish we could get that many people every single night. And so, you know, one thing I try to do since I've been on the city commission, even leading up to that, is I've been pretty active on Facebook in terms of posting ahead of time the agendas, trying to inform people what's occurring and try to engage with people where they're at, perhaps sometimes to my detriment. But I feel like it's important for people to understand what's being voted on. I feel like if people can trust the government, then I feel like they're more willing to show up and voice their opinion and know that it's going to be listened to. I agree. I would love to see at varying times of our commission meetings, even if we can't move them all to 5:30, if we could move, you know, every other one to 5:30, keep the one at 3, or something like that to accommodate more of a crowd. I think that would be certainly appropriate. And you know, I think the last thing I'll say is in terms of transparency, but also just in terms of anybody that comes before the city commission meetings, you know, we have a time where anybody can come and speak. Sometimes people come and perhaps it's not something that the city can assist with. Last night a gentleman came and it was pretty sad to hear the issues that he was having. But I think the cool thing is that our leadership is willing to help and shows a lot of compassion and respect for anybody that comes before the commission.
That's 5 questions. You want to give 1 minute? Okay. We have we're way ahead of schedule, so let's do this.
Last one.
1 minute. Tell us why you deserve a seat on the commission. We'll start with Mr. Tomlin.
That's a good one. I have a lot of experience in working with, for, and sometimes against local governments, and I bring, I think, a maturity to bring that to the commission, plus a lot of experience as a city employee and a person who's seen how city government works from the bottom up instead of top down. And I'd like to be remembered, I think, as a commissioner that was informed and involved. And I would like to continue that involvement through the next few years. Thanks.
I am actively involved in our community through a number of organizations, everything from teaching financial literacy classes at the Salvation Army to trying putting on a free music festival for Bluegrass in the Park. And because of what I'm involved in the day-to-day, I do think it gives me a pretty unique perspective and has a pretty good pulse on our community and what they want to see and what they need. And again, also just take that into consideration, and thank you.
Well, I think my experience as six-term city councilman, serving on numerous boards for the last 20 years, 30 years, and making sure that the voice of the voiceless, they have a voice. I think that I really bring that. I think if I look back and say when my time is over, I would want the people to say, hey, when Crip was on there when he started, and look what happened 20 years later. Look at Henderson in our downtown. Look at our economics. We're building a new subdivision. We've got, Henderson is on the road. Henderson has changed. And it's, my number one goal was to make Henderson one of the best places to raise a family. And we're getting really close to being one of the best cities in the whole United States to raise a family. When you say clean schools, drugs, place to live, people, discrimination, zero. When you see all those type of things that's going on in Henderson compared to other cities, I think I'll be close to that goal.
We're already there. I think as I've served 4 years as a commissioner, I think I've proven that I have the leadership to do that job. I bring a business mindset to the commission. I was born learning profit and losses. Bring a level head and I don't rush to conclusions. And being in the hospitality business for over 40 years, I have an innate ability to read somebody and I have the ability to work with anybody. Anybody you put up, I can work with them. And if I've been tasked to make this city a better place. And if you vote me and re-elect me, I will do that again. 2 years ago at Finance Center, I told you this train is getting ready to leave the station. Jump on board. We've already gone with it. This is flowing, so there's still room left to jump on board, but we're going to continue to go places.
I think as a licensed attorney with an investment background, it gives me a unique ability to kind of understand a lot of our ordinances, resolutions, and budgets that we deal with every single day at the city level. Through my engagement and involvement in a lot of nonprofit organizations in town, I think I've been able to see a lot of the good in our community, but I've also been able to see a lot of the things that I think we can continue to try to work to improve. I think it's okay to acknowledge that we're doing a lot of things well, but there's a lot of people struggling in our community still that don't feel that. We have to continue to try to push for them, and I continue to try to be a voice for them. I've gone out of my way to try to engage with our citizens, as I mentioned before, and try to be active on social media and other platforms to try to engage with citizens. It's important to me to take the time to listen to their concerns and to be their voice to improve their lives. To me, being a leader not only means coming up with some solutions and ideas, but it also knows, as my wife would find this ironic, to know when to shut up and listen to ideas and opinions. And I think that's an important part of being a leader. It's something I've learned as an attorney.
Thank you. Like other people on the commission here, I'm on several boards here in town, so I'm keeping my pulse on what's going on in the community as well. Obviously, I'm very proud of my military career. I spent 30 years in the Army. I committed at the company level, the battalion level, and the brigade level. And for those who've been in the military, you understand what that means. I've managed millions of dollars worth of equipment. I've managed hundreds of people at a time. I've deployed them throughout the United States and overseas. I know how to do operational planning, programming, and budget, how to manage people, time, and resources to get a mission done. I'm best qualified in 30 years of leadership and experience that I bring to the table.
We'll go around again.
I just want to say one thing. We have one last thing. We have this to watch again. It's streaming on WSON, right? There's also Aaron Schmidt. WSON has done commissioner candidate interviews. You can check those out on Saturday, I believe. And then Henderson is going to have more articles about this. What I'm saying is educate yourself. Try to make the best decision for the future of Henderson. I think I'm going to hand it over to Eric now.
Thank you, Vince. Let's give another round of applause. We're a round of applause. For education on voting, let's go through that so everybody is clear on that. In-house absentee voting started today, and that will run through October 30th. That is Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4:30 at the Henderson County Clerk's Office. Early voting starts October 31st and runs through November 1st. That's at the Chase Fulcher Archery Center, and that will be 8 to 5 p.m. And then on November 2nd, that's 8 to 4. And then Election Day, November 5th, multiple places that you can vote in person, from A.B. Chandler, Ben Gate, Chase Fulcher Archery Center, Jefferson Elementary, Niagara Elementary School, Presbyterian Church of Henderson, Spotsville Elementary School, and you can vote at any of those locations. So make sure you take that opportunity. Thank you all for joining us tonight and for taking part in this important democratic process. I'd like to extend a special thank you to our candidates for sharing their vision, their policy, and their commitment to serving our community. Your willingness to engage in open dialogue helps us all to make informed decisions. As we move forward to Election Day, I encourage everyone to stay informed, ask questions, and most importantly, cast your vote. Your voice truly matters, and by voting, you help shape the future of our community. Thank you again for your time and engagement. Have a safe evening, and we look forward to seeing you at the polls. Thank you.